All right. Good evening and welcome to this week's live stream on traveling on everyday spend. Man, it's been a lot of information that we've got this week. Got a lot to cover. Just want to get a few housekeeping items out of the way first. First and foremost, thank you to every person that takes the time to watch, to be on the live stream, or to watch it as a recording, as well as the videos that my channel puts out. Really means everything for your comments, your suggestions, your likes, and your sharing, as well as subscribing. Means everything to me, and want to make sure to, of course, ask if you find this live stream beneficial, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Does a lot for this channel, and I want to thank you. As always, this will be recorded and I will put it into chapters afterwards to make it as easy to use as possible. But we will go ahead and get started because we have a lot going on. And want to say hi to John. Thanks for stopping through, my man. Really appreciate it. And I already said to Matt as well. Two great content creators that I've talked about before on the live stream. So let's go ahead and get started real quick here. There is so much topics that I'm not even going to run through this agenda. We're just going to jump right on in and go from there. So let's get started. As far as credit card offers, we obviously had the Hilton credit cards come out. I talked about those in last week's live stream for American Express, as well as the Bonvoy business for Marriott, which is the best in its card's history. We talked a bit about that before. We're nearing the end of the Sapphire Preferred and Reserve, 75,000 points. Talked about that last week. Chase does not give out dates. They normally kind of give that information out to different people, Points Guy and other people that kind of give warning of when it's forthcoming. So it is coming. In the Freedom Flex, I got on that today as in incognito mode and still see where instead of the $200 cash back, there is 5% groceries, up to $12,000 for the year. So if you are interested in the Freedom Flex, but not interested in the $200 cash back and the grocery might be better for you, try your incognito mode and you very will likely see the same thing I see. And then lastly, we've got the British Airways, Aer Lingus, and Iberia credit cards at 85,000 points. That is a limited time offer as well. We don't know when that's going to end. So if there's interest in any of those, definitely go ahead and get on those before you lose that opportunity. Then, of course, we've got the Southwest personal credit cards, which I'm going to touch on during this live stream. And then, of course, cities with the City Strata Premier and the City Advantage Business at their current numbers of 75,000 points and miles. June transfer bonuses. We've now got Avianca for 15%. Not groundbreaking numbers, but once again, if you know you're going to be scheduling something with Avianca and you need some points to potentially do a transfer, that's still an opportunity. It'll appear on your Avianca account once the points are transferred. So keep that in mind. It won't be something that gets calculated when you're doing it on the American Express side. Then, of course, on Chase, we've got the Marriott Bonvoy at 40%, the Virgin Atlantic Flying Club still for a little bit longer at 30%, and then Turkish Miles and Smiles through Citi. That one is being offered directly through Turkish, so there is some delay on getting those points, but keep that in mind at 50% because that could be a great deal for someone. We're going to talk about some different buying opportunities for points, and some of these may work out well for you. So want to make sure to go ahead and touch on those. So first, we got the Buy Hilton Honors points. It's a 100% bonus. Sale runs through July 23rd. Members can purchase up to a maximum of 160,000 points in a year, and this offer is at 160,000 points max. Now, the points will be posted within 48 hours of you making the purchase. And the points range, which is really good, is that you can get 100% as low as a 5,000 point purchase. Now, you can purchase points as low as 1,000 points, but the 100% bonus does not kick in until you get to 5,000 points and above. So, excellent deal if you need some points for Hilton and you know that you've got a use case for it. Could be a very good deal. So, as far as my thoughts, let's take a look at what a max purchase looks like. If you purchased 160,000 points and then received another 160,000 points as the bonus, you're at 320,000 points. That's going to be at a cost of $1,600, which is at 5 cents per point, a little bit less than what the points guy values it at 0.6 cents per point. Now, I'll ask this question on a lot of these different slides. Does valuation matter? The reality is it doesn't. Each person's case is for them. These point valuations that I make sure to put in here is just to kind of give you a point of reference, but not to say that if your value is less, that you shouldn't do it. You'll know what you need to do for your situation. And as a reminder, Amex as well as Bilt are transfer partners for Hilton. If you just need a small top off and the point purchases are not necessary. And then, of course, I'll say this on every one of these, have a plan. Do not end up just purchasing, in many cases, you shouldn't worry about purchasing points unless you know you have a plan for using them. Now, at 100% value, if you are, I could see where there could be some speculation that may be beneficial, but just know what you're getting into. And as long as you're doing it with eyes wide open, then it doesn't matter. So that Hilton honors is easy to get to as a member for Hilton. Just go into your account. There'll be an area for points, and then you'll be able to make the purchase. I will put a link in the description at the end of the show so that you can have a quick, easy way to be able to get to it. So that is where we're going to start with that. Then we have Qatar Avios at 50% off. This sale runs through June 11th, so we're only until next week. You do, as far as your Qatar account, you do need to have at least one Avios in that account to be able to consider making a purchase. So that's something to keep in mind for that. You can basically members can do up to 250,000 Avios points per calendar year, whether you're buying, gifting, or transferring. Now, the points will be posted within 72 hours for these transfers, and points of your purchase of the points, as we'll see with all of these, does not increase or improve any status that you have with the airline or the hotel. Doesn't matter. You'll get a 20% bonus between 3,000 and 15,000 Avios. 16 through 38,000 Avios will get you 40%, and then 40,000 all the way up to the 250,000 cap will get you 50%. So once again, something to kind of keep in mind for this. And same thing when we look at a max purchase. If you're purchasing 250,000 Avios and getting a bonus of 125,000, then you're going to have 375,000 Avios with a cost of $5,750. That is a 0.53 point value, 1.53 cents per point value. Points guy is right around there at 1.5. Once again, if you've got Amex or Citi, that can be an option for you to get Qatar points, Qatar Avios, if you need some points or need to top off. And then also keep in mind that British Airways, Aer Lingus, Iberia, and Finnair are all ones now that can transfer they're all interchangeable. Now, I do believe that British Airways, though I will say, is the only one that no, it's only Finnair, I'm sorry. So any of those, you can transfer those Avios to Qatar So keep it in mind, just so that you know that you don't just have the option of needing to buy Qatar Avios points, that you can move the Avios points around from other airlines. So definitely look at that if you're in need of that. But that is the Qatar Avios option that you have. And then we have World of Hyatt, that we're getting a 20% off for World of Hyatt. And then we obviously know, and if you listen to me at all, I really value Hyatt points a lot. Sale runs through 11:59 p.m. on July 1st. Now, in order to do this, you must have been a member of World of Hyatt for at least 60 days to be able to do this. So through July 1st, that's only about a couple more weeks. So if you have that, meet that qualification, you can look at making a purchase. The maximum points allowed for receipt or bonus points purchase is 55,000 points per year. Now the points should be posted within 48 hours, and the bonus points awards, of course, does not count towards any kind of status that Hyatt has. So 3,000 points to 55,000 points gets you that 20% bonus for World of Hyatt. Now you can purchase as little as 2,000, so make sure you're aware that that will not have any bonus points accompanying with it at 2,000 points. So once again, max purchase, if you did 55,000 points plus 11,000 points, gets you 66,000 points at a cost of $1,320, 2 cents per point, a little higher than a point guy valuation. This is being done through points.com. So using your Hyatt credit card to do this type of purchase does not get you any additional points. And remember, Bilt and Chase can be used to get World of Hyatt to be able to use for World Hyatt and Hyatt points. So once again, have a plan in regards to it. And me having these points down here to show is because I know I did buy some points recently, not through these promotions, for my upcoming trip during Christmas, and I needed to buy some points to top off a few locations. So it can be beneficial, but there are other options than just buying. So keep that in mind. The next item we've got is buying Air France KLM miles, and that is at 70% off. For this one, the sale runs through June 16th. But what I would caution you, if you're interested in this, the small print says it's through June 16th at 23:59 hours Central European time, and that's 6 hours ahead of the Eastern Standard Time. So if you're looking to do this, try to do it by June 15th. Don't take a chance on getting wrapped up into whatever the specific time is, Central European time. If you can basically look at as an Explorer level, 70,000 points you're able to purchase. And if you're an elite member, 210,000 points or miles you can buy. Points will be received within 72 hours. And once again, this is through points.com. So 2,000 to 100,000 miles will get you that 70% bonus. So once again, we look at the max purchase to kind of see where we're at. 100,000 miles plus 70,000 bonus miles gets you 170,000 miles for $3,050, which is valued at 1.79 cents per point. It's not the most ideal situation compared to valuation, but remember, Air France KLM is a transfer partner of most of the big ones: American Express, Bilt, Capital One, Chase, Citi, and Wells Fargo. So don't look at those options first before you would potentially look at spending this kind of money at that kind of valuation, if possible. So keep that in mind, but wanted to make sure you're aware of that option. And then we also now have buying American Airlines Advantage miles at 35% off. Now, there's no deadline currently listed for this program. The points will usually transfer right away, but allow 8 hours for processing. And this is directly through American Airlines. Now, for me, I've got an American Airlines account, credit card, and was seeing the option of from 6,000 to 24,000 points, 10% bonus, 25,000 to 79,000 miles, 15% bonus, 80,000 to 104,000, 20%, 105 to 149,000, 25%. And then if you got to 150,000 miles, you would be looking at a 35% um, bonus on that. Now, for this one, I didn't get that. The max purchase of that 150,000 would include would be in addition to the bonus that I did not list. But the points guy valuation 1.7 cents. Now this one may be a little bit different depending upon your situation, because we obviously are currently in a situation where there are no transfer partners for American Airlines. So if you potentially had gathered some points and put it into your American Airlines, if you had built and need some points now, it may be an option that you might want to consider, even if the valuation doesn't quite work out. But keep in mind of what that might look like for you. So I definitely want to make sure to get that information to you. And then there's a few other purchase opportunities where I don't really see that it's going to be ideal for most people, but I still want to make sure to share them for you quickly. So IHG has one that goes through June 8th, where it is 1,000 or more points. Now they talk about 85%, up to 85% bonus with that. Now I went into our IHG account with a premier business credit card, and my number was only at 20%. So there wasn't a need for any points for me. But if you have an IHG account, look and see what you may have if you're interested. You might do better than I did, but I was only at 20%. This is another points.com one, but even if it's at 85%, the valuation is still 0.56 cents per point. So once again, keep it in mind, but I don't know how they determine who will get the 85%, but keep that one in mind that you may not see a number even remotely close to that high. JetBlue has one through June 28th. Chase and Citi and American Express all transfer to JetBlue. You need to purchase. You need to purchase 3,000 or more points to get that 75% bonus. Now, keep in mind that this is a fixed value rewards program, meaning that the number of points you need for a redemption is directly related to the cash cost of the ticket. So the value is not so much there at all for this type of point purchase. And then lastly, we have Marriott with the July 24th deadline. Remember that Amex, Bilt, and Chase all do transfer to Marriott. They were talking about 40 to 50%, depending upon purchasing, of the 2,000 to 9,000 point range in the 10,000 to 100,000 point range. I went into it on my Marriott account as a gold status with having the American Express Platinum, and the only percentage value was made available to me was 15 and 25%. So once again, if you're interested in something like that, see what your mileage may vary upon what that percentage may look like. So definitely take a look at it if there is of interest. So that covers all of the points, different programs that are going on right now. Wanted to get that in front of you. But now let's take a look at AutoCamp with Hilton. That went live this week on June 3rd, and the properties are now eligible for booking. Now, it's not all of the properties, and I'll touch on that in a bit. Now, the cost for this will be around 70,000 points per night during the summer. Now, this is considered peak season, and this was taking an example of the Cape Cod AutoCamp. Cash price of that base one, which can be $525. Now, that would be including taxes and fees, which gets you at 0.75 cents per point. Now, at this point, Hilton Honors points cannot be used to purchase and to get points on ancillary purchases outside of purchasing the per night stay. So what Hilton is now doing is they're awarding 1,000 bonus points per stay, not per night, per stay through August 12th of 2024. Obviously the belief is that they're going to be able to get everything worked out where those ancillary purchases will count towards your Hilton points. But at this point, it isn't. So definitely keep that in mind. And you do get some bonuses when you are a silver, gold, or diamond member. If you're silver member, you're getting 2 eco-friendly water bottles. So not just bottles of water, but water bottles eco-friendly, which is interesting. And then if you're gold, you get the water bottles, but you also get a bundle of firewood. Now that's per stay, not per night. And you get a room upgrade if available. And then if you're a diamond, they'll throw in a s'mores kit to top off the items that you would have gotten as a silver and a gold elite member. Now, right now, if you were to go to the landing page for this, and I'll make sure to put a link for that in the description, only 2 locations are currently showing live. And that is AutoCamp Cape Cod, which is Falmouth, Massachusetts, and AutoCamp Catskills, which is in Saugerties, I believe, New York. Now, they do show that what is coming soon is the AutoCamp Asheville, North Carolina. Now, keep in mind that if you go onto just the AutoCamp's website, there are actually a total of 8 locations that are up and running with one on the way. So we don't have full access to all of the locations currently, but we do have 2 right now, with the third one that should be coming shortly. So definitely take a look at the AutoCamp site if there is ones other than the 2 or 3 that are showing for us right now under the Hilton landing spot, to see if there's another one that you might be interested in. Definitely something that this glamping, probably something I'll give a shot to. It really looks like a pretty interesting setup, and it's a different type of maybe weekend kind of vacation, or a longer weekend vacation. So something to keep in mind. And I see that Matt, so thank you. I had not seen the word before, and we took a shot at Saugerties. So thank you for letting me know. So that's the AutoCamp Hilton program. Once again, anything that we can get differently, get different opportunities and experiences for our points, really means a lot for us that are in the points and miles game. So that it's not just always the same airline, hotel. So whether it's glamping with Hilton, or being able to get on a train through Accor, look at all kinds of different options so that you don't kind of pigeonhole yourself into certain opportunities. The next opportunity that we're going to look at is the American Airlines are bookable through Cathay Pacific. Now, this was something that I give credit to Frequent Miler about, that they had reported that American Airlines was now bookable. Now, don't know when it really started, but the normal process is that you had to call Cathay Pacific to be able to book American Airlines. So it may have been for a while, but I saw they kind of caught it recently, and I was not aware of it either. So sometimes Asia Miles can be better than American Airlines to be able to fly them. So that's something that is a easier option for us now. That's something to look at. A sweet spot would be an example of a sweet spot would be flying from the US to Europe on American Airlines business class, that would go from 58,000 miles to 84,000 miles one way. And for the 58,000 miles, examples would be flying out of JFK to Paris, Philadelphia to Amsterdam, and Chicago to Barcelona. And then for ones that might be a little bit further of a flight, that are at the 84,000 miles one way, now you're looking at LAX to London, Dallas to Rome, or Chicago to Athens. So definitely, if you're looking at American Airlines, consider Asia Miles at least as an option to look at. And with the website now being able to show them and book from them, makes the process a lot easier. So wanted to make sure to pass that on to you. Now, last week I talked about a new Hyatt brand that was going to be in Japan. We now have yet another new Hyatt brand for Hyatt Studios. Now, for this one, like I mentioned, I talked about Atona last week, and I'll make sure to put a link for that part in the description. This week, we're now looking at this Hyatt Studios, which is considered to be an extended stay brand. And the way that they describe it is that Hyatt Studios is going to be an entry into the upper mid-scale lodging market. These will be all new properties, no retrofits for this. As far as some of the basics, there were some pictures out there. They're going to offer suites with kitchen amenities. Now, once again, it's amenities, not full kitchens. Some grab and go breakfast, 24-hour market with items that can be heated in a microwave, which you would have in your room. The first property is going to be the Hyatt Studios, Mobile, Alabama, July 1st of 2025. And the second property is listed as Hyatt Studios, Marysville, California, to open later in 2025. Now, what's the difference between this and, say, Hyatt House? Well, you still will earn elite nights, but your points earning is only going to be 50% of the value. So instead of 5x, it's only going to be 2.5x for your dollars dealing with the Hyatt Studios. Now, one thing that I was not really the most fond of is their phrasing of saying flexible based on developers' needs. So what we're going to probably see is we're not going to see a consistent brand where in each location you go. So what you may see in Mobile, Alabama could be completely different than what you would see in Marysville, California. And that seems to lean more to benefit the developer, not so much us as the customer. I will be interested in seeing some more about it, but at least on the surface, I like consistency when I go to a certain brand. And if if the brand's not going to represent something consistent, I'm not normally going to be for it. So definitely would be interested in what you all's thoughts about that possibility is. And with this, I don't know how well this brand is going to do, but it's definitely not something I'm that interested in. I would take my 5,000 or 6,000 points per night if I'm going to spend points and just try and stay at the Hyatt House. But definitely wondering what your thoughts are. The next topic is Etihad and China Eastern launching a joint venture. Now, this was interesting because it appears to be the first partnership between a Middle Eastern and a Chinese airline. It is the closest level. When we're talking about a joint venture, that's kind of considered to be kind of the closest level of cooperation short of literally merging your two companies. The two will develop and grow routes between the United Arab Emirates as well as China. Now, what I found interesting about this was that China Eastern does not currently actually fly to Abu Dhabi. And that seems to be a dearth for Abu Dhabi to not get people flying in from China on China Eastern. So that this relationship will begin to change that problem. And Etihad really only flies to Beijing and Shanghai. So the expectation of this joint venture is going to address that as well. So Etihad will likely expand their service into China and be able to have connectivity from China, with China Eastern, and to basically develop routes not just into China, but into other locations. While China Eastern will develop new routes from multiple cities in China, getting them to Abu Dhabi. And we talked about Abu Dhabi a couple of weeks ago about the push that they were doing about people being able to stay over when they're flying there, and trying to get people to stay there and spend money and experience Abu Dhabi. So something that's definitely something of interest. Now, China Eastern will likely also provide connections to not just Abu Dhabi, but from Africa and beyond. Now, Etihad really needed to be able to do this to create a connection into China. It's obviously a missing piece for them, but also it's likely looking for other areas of growth as well. We've seen that they've expanded their relationship with Air France KLM, where they've increased the code share in their frequent flyer reciprocity. I've seen some articles talk about trying to develop some type of relationship with Delta. We'll have to definitely see what happens with that. Obviously, American Airlines has relationships with other Middle Eastern provider airlines. So Etihad needs to try to catch up in some areas, and that move with KLM as well as with this will give them a chance to really kind of bring a lot more activity for them and to bring into their home country. Obviously, as a state-owned airline, both of those are very important to them. Now we have the time where we're getting these promo rewards for Flying Blue, which we get each month, and want to make sure to touch on these because there may be some really good deals for you to consider. So the Flying Blue promo is done each and every month, normally for redemptions for flights from, in my case, U.S. to Europe. The bookings must be made by June 30th. Now they're valid for travel all the way up till November 30th, so there is some time for that. And the rewards are applicable in each direction, whether you're coming from Europe to the United States or from the United States to Europe. It works both ways. Now, when it comes to North American departures, we're basically seeing 25% off on economy flights to Europe, basically from Phoenix, Seattle, Washington, D.C., the Dulles location, Boston, Houston, and New York City, the JFK. So if you're looking at that, that's where some deals are going to be at. And once again, I'll make sure to put a link for the landing page in the description so that you can be able to easily see if there are some opportunities there for you. Now, when it comes to international departures, we're seeing 25% off on economy flights from Havana, San Jose, and Shanghai to Europe. We're seeing Aruba and Bonaire to Europe. Also, Amsterdam to Berlin, Dublin, Rome, and Vienna. And lastly, Paris to Billund, Clermont-Ferrand, Dusseldorf, Montpellier, I believe, Nice, Oslo, and Stockholm. So just wanted to get some city names out there for you for whether you are flying from North America, where I'm located, or if you're an international viewer that is seeing some opportunities. I'll have a link for all of that in the comment section. And then we have Lufthansa, which has the Miles and More program, and they do a monthly program similar to what KLM does. So for this one, it's a regular promotion. Now they deal with multiple airlines that fall under the Lufthansa umbrella, and that would be Australian, Brussels, Eurowings, Discover, LOT Polish, Lufthansa, as well as Swiss Airlines. Now, bookings, once again, need to be done by June 30th, and you can travel between September 15th and October 31st. So it is a tighter window where they do these, but can be some potentially really good deals if you find something that works for you. Now, as far as the deals offered, I'm going to touch on a few of these, but I will make sure to have a link in the description. There are 110 flights from the United States to locations throughout Europe under this program. There's one business class deal that flies from Miami to Warsaw on LOT, and it's 55,000 miles round trip. That's what makes Lufthansa's Miles and More such a big deal. 55,000 miles round trip is amazing for that. Then you have 7 premium economy class flights at 40,000 miles round trip, and they're flying out of Miami or Newark. And then lastly, there are 102 economy class deals at 30,000 miles round trip from multiple locations within the United States. Now, as far as thoughts, Lufthansa is very interesting because they don't have any transfer partners. So accumulating Lufthansa points is very limited. So one of the ways that you might see people doing it, if you were looking at this, is the Miles and More World Elite MasterCard through Barclays. Right now, I think it's still at its standard 50,000 award miles for $3,000 spend. in the first 90 days, and you need to pay the annual fee of $99. But that 50,000 miles, even for that, gets you close to a round trip or might pay for a round trip flight by itself if it fits. Now, for that credit card, just to let you know, you'll get 2x on airline tickets purchased directly with the Miles and More integrated partners, which were the ones I mentioned earlier, and you'll get 1x on everything else. Now, one big thing to keep in mind when you look at this is that the miles are outstanding, but you are still going to have to pay the significant surcharge when you're booking directly through Lufthansa. So it can be hundreds of dollars or more. So definitely, if you're looking at any of these, make sure you look at the entire picture to see that it makes that it is best for you on your situation. But it can be a potentially great deal for you if you can fit the timeline as well as to be able to handle the fuel surcharges. So I'll make sure, like I said, I'll make sure to have a link for that in the comments section. Now, the Southwest credit cards, I want to make sure to touch on this because we've got an outstanding miles intro bonus for all 3 personal credit cards. And so just to kind of touch on them for you, to give you a quick look at those, there are 3 personal credit cards. You have the Plus, the Premium, and the Priority. Now, the Plus card, $69 annual fee. You'll get 3,000 annual points of the Rapid Rewards points, 2x on Southwest airline purchases, hotel and car rental purchases that are part of their program, local transit and commuting, including rideshare, internet, cable, phone, and select streaming. You'll get 25% off of in-flight purchases. You'll also get a 10,000 point boost each year to go towards Companion Pass, but it's specifically just towards Companion Pass. And you'll get 2 early bird check-ins. Now, the premium card is $99 for an annual fee. You'll get 6,000 anniversary points. You'll get the same 2x category that you saw on the Plus, except for you'll get 3x on Southwest instead of 2. You'll also get 1,500 tier qualifying points for their status for every $5,000 that you spend annually. And this card has no foreign transaction fee. The Plus does have a 3% foreign transaction fee. And then lastly, you have the Priority at $149 annual fee. You'll get 7,500 anniversary points, 3x on Southwest. Again, you'll get 4 upgraded boardings per year when available, and you'll get a $75 Southwest annual travel credit, but you delete out the early bird check-ins that came with Plus and Premium. So as you can see through these 3 cards, there's something for each person. So this 85,000 miles is the same promotion for each of them, and for the same $3,000 spend in 3 months. So if you're a person that does not regularly fly Southwest, then getting the Plus makes perfect sense to be able to get that 85,000 miles. And for $69, those 2 early bird check-ins will really help. It's definitely something when I end up flying Southwest, I try my best to be able to throw in an early bird check-in, because for those that may not be possibly aware of Southwest, you do not get assigned seats. You will get essentially assigned a number, and then you get in a line when you get to board, and people will go in, and then you pick whatever seat you want in the order that you're there. So early bird check-in will normally get you, I want to say it's in the top 25 to 30. I apologize that I don't know the specific number it goes to, but it gets you closer to the front of the line to pick the seat that you want and to be able to get the baggage up there closer to your seat than people that are going to be in section B and C, which you'll have A, B, and C, but there's a large number for each category. So that would be for a Plus person. For Premium, I would say that would be a person that does fly Southwest somewhat often, but maybe never had the credit card. And at $99, that they feel that those anniversary points, the additional 3,000 points, helps. But I wouldn't probably it's not a favorite of mine if I was looking at that. I think I would, for me, it's either the plus if you are a person that doesn't fly Southwest or very little, or you might as well just go to the priority if you do fly often, mainly because at $149, you're going to get $75 travel credit, which is half of the annual fee, let alone the 4 upgraded boardings that you're going to get, which can cover that cost. So look at that as far as if you're going to fly Southwest 2 to 4 times minimum, you probably are looking at getting the priority over the premium for sure. And then the plus if you are a person that doesn't fly as often. So I'm hopeful that can help you to pick the right card that may be for you if you're considering or already fly Southwest. Now, as far as with the Southwest Companion Pass, just a quick tutorial on it. It allows you to get unlimited, essentially buy one, get one free tickets for up to 2 years. You only need to pay the taxes and fees for the companion pass, which will normally be $5.60 one way or $11.20 round trip. Now, you don't get any status just because you have a companion pass. The companion pass is just a standalone ability to do the buy one, get one free. It does not get you any status because you have it. And then the original ticket can be purchased by either cash or points when you get the buy one, get one free, which is a nice touch so that you don't have to necessarily spend cash all the time. Sometimes it will be the best option, but something for that to end up looking at. And want to welcome, they call me Lonnie. Thanks for stopping through. Really appreciate it. Now, as far as qualifying, you get to qualify for the companion pass, you're looking at 100 qualifying one-way flights in a calendar year or earn 135,000 qualifying points in a calendar year. Now, obviously, most people are doing this through points, not the 100 flights per year. Now, when you do that, get to that 135,000 points, you are not paying that to get companion pass. You just have to get to that number, but you still have the 135,000 points. You are not using it to buy it. And as far as through the credit card bonuses, most people will kind of look at, especially when they get elevated to like this at 85,000 points or miles, be looking at one personal card and one business card. Now, you can't get more than one personal card, so definitely keep that one in mind. But if you are a person that already gets business cards or are interested in it, this could be a potential good mix to get companion pass if that is something you're interested in. Now, as far as the timing on this, the 2 year up to 2 years, that happens if you end up accumulating and qualifying for your intro bonuses to get you to that 135,000th point in January. Then you'll get it. Yeah. So if you ended up getting it not in this promotion, but if you were to get to the 135,000th point in January, let's say of 2025, then you'll have companion pass all of 2025 and all of 2026. This is not going to be our situation, though, in this case, because this promotion runs through June, only for about 20 more days. And that spend has to happen in 3 months. So in this particular one, you're probably looking at a maximum of 15 to 18 months that you're going to be able to look for that. And then one last thing to keep in mind on this is that when you do the companion pass, you're going to have 2 confirmation numbers. You're not going to be on the same confirmation number with your player 2 or your travel partner. So if you want to sit together, and because I said this is a first come, first serve setup, you need to probably look at getting an early bird pass to bring you 2 together in the same group of numbers. You're not automatically going to be able to have a number with them that close together. So keep that in mind when you're using this type of pass. And want to say hello to Chad's Money Minutes. Appreciate you stopping through. All of the people I've mentioned are really excellent content creators in this credit card space, and definitely all people that you should take a chance to take a look at their channels for it. You definitely won't regret it at all. So that's the Southwest Companion Pass look that I wanted to make sure to provide you. Now, for the Wells Fargo Attune, this just came out over the last few days for Wells Fargo, and I wanted to just kind of do a quick review of it because it is an interesting card, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily the best card or who's this card for. So why don't we take a quick look at it? But great, we have no annual fee. The intro bonus is only $100. So it's a little bit less than some of these no annual fee cards, but $100 intro bonus with $500 spent in the first 3 months of opening the account. They'll do a donation to Capital Link upon you qualifying for your intro bonus, and that is for providing service to shelters, I believe. So it's a good quality community help type of donation. So we can kind of get a feel of where this starts. You do get a 0% intro bonus APR on the first 12 months. No late payment fees, which is an interesting concept. Now, don't let it get to you, because obviously we don't want to have late payments, because even if we're not paying a late fee, we're still going to take a hit on the credit. So keep that in mind. Now, you will get cell phone protection up to $600 per claim. You'll get secondary collision damage waiver, and you'll have multiple options for reward redemption, as this is a cashback card to either redeem to your account, pay with rewards, redeem rewards for travel, redeem for purchases, as well as gift cards. Now, the multipliers are the interesting part of this. Very different type of setup. So you get 4X on self-care. So beauty, barbershops, gym memberships, fitness studios, health and beauty spas, and massage parlors. Obviously, you don't have any other card that does something like that. So it's interesting in that. Secondly, you get 4X on planet-friendly purchases. So this is secondhand stores of buying clothing, antique stores, public transit, from like EV charging, local busing, and then railways for anything that obviously helps to save carbon emissions with the planet. And then let me go back there. Then the biggest section is something I couldn't do it enough justice on putting it on a slide. So let me share my screen so I can make sure to show exactly what we're looking at. And so this is, that's what the Attune looks like. Now it is recycled plastic, I believe. So once again, we're seeing things that are trying to be beneficial to the world and to help yourself through self-care. This other section, though, is select sports, recreation, and entertainment. And it is quite vast of the different categories that they have. So they have create and collect, and this could be artist supplies and craft shops, hobby, toy, game shops, photo finishing laboratories, sewing, needlework. So you got the Joanne stores, Lego stores. Very interesting category. What I found interesting in my full-time job, one of the promotions, one of the things that benefits that they provide is $125 every 3 months to be able to do things for yourself to deal with stress. And these are some of the things that are in that category as well. And it is something that a lot of people, at least in where I work, really take advantage of for calming themselves, to stress relief. So it is a really nice thing for this create and collect. the same thing would be for uh, the gardening and floral. Same thing where if people want to buy seeds or get different tools and such, those are things that they can be reimbursed upon with that $125. So florists, floral, nurseries, lawn and garden, once again, a very interesting category. Then you've got other recreation and leisure activities. I won't even name all of these, but you can see on the screen, you're talking about aquariums, bowling alleys, and a lot of different areas for recreation and leisure activities. And then pet care, for pet shops and all, which is obviously something that's very beneficial. And then sports and recreation equipment from like Dick's would be Eddie Bauer is kind of a good example. And then sports and entertainment tickets, which the Opera, StubHub, as well as other areas. And then lastly, streaming music, movies, and books. So it is a very vast category for that. Now, I think that the one thing to keep in mind with this is that I think this spot is really going to be more for a person that is already building their Wells Fargo setup or are going to begin doing it. Um, this is kind of a nice fill-in for these categories. Maybe when you already have different cards, from the active cash to the autograph, and having this kind of be a nice fill-in as a $0 annual fee card. It's not something that it's probably something that you're doing either if you don't care about Chase, or if you have already done your rounds with Chase and are not concerned about 524, where you could look at this. And I'll give a shout out to John, who had a really nice video on basically Chase credit cards. So take a look at his. It'll kind of open your eyes about Chase. But Chase can be a very necessary evil. I definitely have plenty of credit cards with Chase. But I think it's kind of a niche credit card in only those categories. I don't see where a lot of people will get this Attune card unless you are going to fall in that category of building the network with Wells Fargo, or you already have cards and this just becomes a nice addition to it. But that's kind of my thoughts on the Attune credit card. And so want to make sure if anybody's got any questions or anything to touch on. I see John talking about it's an interesting card for the right person. Looking at Matt, it would be a pretty amazing card, and I think it can be. I think it's just going to have to be for the right person. I think the person that is possibly just starting off, it probably is not going to be the best route for them unless they have a strong feeling of doing things for the world, and they're not worried about credit card numbers and such, but just doing something right and getting a small kickback on it, I think. So just wanted to make sure to throw that out there. But that basically concludes the live stream. I cannot thank each and every one of you all enough for that has taken the time to jump on the channel for the live stream. Thank you so much. And I wish everybody to have a great, great day. You all take care.